Hey guys, Tony here, and I'm back to do a response to Dan in Canada, his 3 question thread. Um, 3 quick questions for me. I think I could get through these pretty quick. Um, one of them I may not have the best answers for, but nonetheless, I figured I'd give it a shot. So the first question is, different pressings of the same album. Do I buy them? And I would say generally not. Right now, I'm a little more interested in filling in a lot of gaps in my collection. Getting hold of those albums that I've wanted for a long time. Um, and yeah, just getting those classic records that I've just wanted and feel should be in the collection. You know what I mean? So that doesn't mean that I don't have some examples, and it also doesn't mean that I wouldn't buy them. I definitely would, but right now that's just kind of not what I'm interested in. Maybe, probably eventually, I get more into that with certain albums. But it just depends what I come across and what album it is. But so I have a couple examples here. First off, Tonight's the Night. One of my favorite albums of all time. This is a repressing. I'm not sure when it was done, but I've had this for well over 5 years now, and it's just a no frills repressing of this album. Just a flat, slightly glossy cover, still a gatefold, and the LP itself is on. Still on reprise, but it has this kind of label on it. More, I guess, 90s kind of reprise label. But I also have, and this actually isn't even my listening copy, which maybe it should be, only because I have 2 originals. I know I've shown these before, but 2 Tonight's the Night here. Both originals, both, the kind of like blotter paper black cover. And here's the second one. This one, the cover is in generally better condition, but this copy here has the insert, and this one does not have the insert. But it does have. They both have the original sleeve. But either way, it's cool to have originals of that album. That's one of those that I just had to have an original for. Also, in the case of Harvest, I have, I don't know exactly what country, but it's in Spanish. And again, just a flat, glossy, yellow cover here on this. And it gets still a gatefold too. And I have the Neil Young Archives official release series version. And an old original version. And also, in the case of Dylan, I have 2, actually I have more than 2, but I have 2 early pressings of Freewheelin'. This is just one of them. And I have the Sun-Dazed mono version here. Same thing with a couple other Dylan albums too. I only pulled out 2 examples for Dylan as well. Blonde on Blonde, again, an early pressing here, and the mono version on Sundays here. So yeah, I'm not opposed to it. I have nothing against that, but it's just kind of not what I'm interested at the time. And again, there's a lot of things that depend. So moving on, top 5 depressing albums. This I kind of had a hard time with. I generally don't think I have a lot of depressing albums. More albums that have some depressing songs, but full depressing albums, it's kind of limited. The ones I did pick are depressing in ways. A lot of them have, while considered depressing, have like redeeming qualities to it. Like, you listen to this album, and while it's kind of depressing, but at the same time, you feel uplifted from it after listening to it. Sometimes sad songs have that effect on us, you know? Especially in the case of this album here. Knowing what happened afterwards makes this album depressing. Not that the songs on it are not depressing, because they kind of are, especially when you read some of the lyrics. But again, I don't know. This is an album that I've listened to a lot when I was depressed, and it made me feel a lot better usually. But it's Nirvana In Utero. I know I've talked about this before and showed this album, but still, for me, a pretty good example. Again, depressing stuff sometimes just has that redeeming quality. You know, you feel uplifted after. Again, here's one that I guess is depressing in kind of a psychotic kind of way, but it's The Wall. Again, overall, a depressing kind of album, but and not that this is necessarily not that you feel uplifted after listening to it, but it's just such a genius work of art, you know, that the depressing qualities to it just kind of goes with the territory on this one. But excellent album, and definitely a must-have for every collection. The Wall, awesome. This one here, I guess more of an honorable mention. Can kind of come off a little bit depressing, but Johnny Cash. I mean, the man comes around, kind of has that, you know, a little bit of a depressing feel to it, but definitely Hurt. His version of Desperado, even Bridge Over Troubled Water, kind of has a depressing kind of feel to it. But again, excellent album. This one here, I know Dan mentioned, I have to agree, Closer, probably the most depressing album in my collection, possibly. And again, brilliant album. And again, another example of what came afterwards kind of makes this depressing. So, still a great album though. Just about everything by The Wipers. A lot of Greg Sage. His songwriting was definitely a lot about alienation and being on the outside, looking in, and feeling lonely. So we have The Wipers, Over the Edge. And if you're not familiar with The Wipers, you really need to check this band out. Fantastic. They were a based out in around Seattle, maybe Tacoma, Washington, around there. And a big influence on the Seattle scene later on. But this one's Over the Edge. Great album. Songs like with titles like Doomtown, Over the Edge, No One Wants an Alien, The Lonely One, and on this one here, which is Is This Real? And I also have a live album by them. But on Is This Real, the title track is fantastic. But Potential Suicide, Alien Boy, Tragedy, which is kind of an upbeat kind of song. They also have, D7, Return of the Rat. But yeah, fantastic band, with a tendency to be kind of depressing. I am missing one of their albums, The Youth of America, I believe, but great band. Check them out, The Wipers. And one more here, John Lennon and the Plastic Ono Band, sometimes called the Primal Scream album. Overall, a depressing tone to this album. John is kind of like working out a lot of demons here, kind of from his childhood. Songs like Mother, God, what else? I found out Isolation, Working Class Hero. While this is a fantastic album, probably my favorite John Lennon album, it does have overall kind of a depressing tone to it, but still a great album. And another one that I don't know if I want to say it's uplifting afterwards, but you do have a feeling of like relief after. Not that it's over, but that, I don't know, that's just that you just experienced this album. Fantastic album. So, in the last question, upcoming releases. Honestly, I'm not one for following a lot of upcoming releases. I definitely am looking forward to the New Earth album, which I haven't heard yet. I was waiting for the vinyl, and I did order it. So, and pretty much just looking for those classics that I don't have, and I'm always looking for new repressings of older albums, especially those Pearl Jam albums, Vitalogy and Versus. But also, I know Dan also mentioned those unreleased Neil Young albums that are supposed to come out, and let me tell you, when I heard about those, I'm like ecstatic. I can't wait for those. I know REM's coming out with a new album. The Foo Fighters are coming out with a new album. But yeah, like I said, this is the one I said I probably wouldn't have a good response to because I generally don't keep up with it. A lot of times, lately I've been depending on a lot of you guys showing albums and, talking about them, and that just kind of sparks my interest. But yeah, that's about it. So here's my response. I actually do have a few questions for a thread, which I might wait a couple days on before doing. I have like 8 questions right now, and I'll probably narrow that down to, a few of the better ones. But yeah, here's my response. So, guys, thanks for watching. Leave me some comments and take care.